talk a little bit about, because mental health has been something that's come up for entrepreneurship in most recent years for everybody, but I think a specific focus on entrepreneurs. And maybe I'm a little bit more sensitive because as an entrepreneur, I've come to realize how important mental health is. It's literally like the thing. And we don't spend enough time, exploring our own mental health. And I think that it's the demise of so many entrepreneurs, particularly when, like you said, you feel like your success is tied to, or even your worth as a person is tied to whether the business succeeds or not. So if all things go to shit, you feel like you're not anything. You know what I'm saying? Like you're like, then I'm shit too. Like if the business sucks, I suck. And that's not
Yeah.
even fair. Nobody else working somebody else's job is tied to the job, but we are, right? So what did you do in that space, or what did you learn to do? Or and maybe the question is even have you learned things that you can do to really buffer your own mental health or support yourself in ways that other people can't?
I would say that's something I'm still learning.
Okay. And that's a whole journey. I'm
Yeah.
on the journey now, and it takes a while.
Yeah. I mean, I think we could both probably relate to like we're kind of like the faces that are like
Yeah.
heavily attached to our company. People know us in a sense that like when you look up Kushae, you see, Dr. Kimbo.
Probably me. Me and
Yeah.
Dr. Bar.
Yeah, yes. So, it's it's something I'm still learning. Like there are still things that are like addressed. I mean, I something that I have is like being a little bit more transparent. Like even on our contact form now, it's like, hey, if you're sending a contact, like I have it as nice as I can say it, but like
Mhm.
please keep in mind you were talking to a real person.
Yep.
You are
Yep.
talking to a real member of Gently's team. This is not going overseas to someone else. This is us. So, and also, I do not accept profanity anymore. And
Oh, good.
if you put anything that is disrespectful or any type of profanity in your contact form, you're not getting a good response.
Right.
I'm not giving energy to those types of things anymore. And if it's rude and disrespectful, I just can't.
Right.
So there's there will always be people who just like are really rude. I mean, Candace told me a story of someone literally walking into her cupcake shop, chewing up a cupcake and spitting it out on the floor, like in front of her. So like
Rude.
there's always going to be stuff like that. And like I think how I've learned to deal with it is to just kind of understand that having a ultra public job in a
Mm.
sense is going to sometimes lead you to people who have nothing better to do than tear you down. And now that I don't want to say I'm used to it because I never want to be used to just like the
Yeah, no, nobody wants
negativity of
that.
humanity, but I think I've just kind of realized now that that is not the greatest reflection of most of the people. And I've also kind of taken that like internally to be like, there are a lot of products I love in which I will never tell the business owner or the founder that I love them because, like I'm just not a review person. Like I don't
Right.
fill those things out. However, so that's why I try and tell myself, I'm like, there are probably a lot of people that just like silently love Gently that I just
Right.
don't hear from. And then the people that usually send stuff, and like sometimes even the most negative stuff that we get are people that haven't even tried the product before, or like
So
don't
what
even
do they have to say?
they're just writing to me.
There's like
Because,
nothing to say at that point
yeah,
at
exactly.
all.
Or they'll like people who have opinions over like the Shark Tank episode and feel like they need to tell me exactly what they would have done better.
Are
As like,
you serious?
yeah, like I wouldn't have taken this deal, and I'm like, well, that's great because you weren't even in that position. You weren't even on the show.
But that's the only reason why you want to take a deal, because your ass ain't never been on Shark Tank. So keep it moving. I mean, what you
Yeah,
talking
I
about?
mean, there are people that I'm just like
Like,
that
shut
just
up.
that's their purpose in life is to tear others down, and
That's
so
crazy.
yeah. I think it's kind of inspired me more for like the companies that I do love to try and like tell other people how much I love them because I know how hard it can be when you're only receiving the negative and you don't get enough of the positive. So,
Right.
if anything, it's kind of just inspired me to pass more kindness forward. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I can appreciate that. And I've started even a few years ago. I think maybe even at the advent of COVID, just saying like I need to really start supporting. First of all, I need to understand that support is a verb. It's an action word, and make a concerted effort to truly support Black owned brands. Like I need one out of every 10 things I'm using every day to be at least a Black owned brand, that sort of thing. And if I know somebody to put money towards their brand, whether I buy it on multiple times or just the once, because I know what it's like to feel supported. And it's difficult. And people don't always have the money or the means, but some level of support, whether it's a share, a follow, a something. And so I'm really being intentional about that. Obviously, I bought the soap, but I'm actually your target audience. Let's be honest. I actually grew up with eczema and struggled for most of my young adult life until I figured out like, okay, I need to either change my diet and or figure out what I'm using
Yeah,
for
a
soaps and things like
holistic
that on my
lifestyle
clothes.
is needed. Yeah.
Exactly. Lifestyle changes and then diet changes. Figured that out and I haven't had flare ups in years, but I noticed that stress would flare me. And so of course, being an entrepreneur is very stressful. And so I was
Oh
like, I
yeah.
can't I
Yes.
can't allow this because now I got to take pictures and be on stages and I can't be itching and scratching. So it was really about diet changes for me and then using the right soaps. And so I'm actually excited about the things that you're doing. And I'm just kind of a soap weirdo because I love just to buy soaps just because it's really strange. But the
I'm the
point is,
same.
if they're natural, I'm like, oh, what you got? And I'm not overly, I don't need the overly fragrance. Like I get like fragrances are
Oh
not
yeah.
where you need to be. So I wouldn't have even thought of this concept because I've been able to control my eczema, which is great. But I know that so many people